good afternoon. You find me on a beautiful spring day on a lovely little lake in Essex. Now, it's not a lake I've ever seen before. I've heard about it. It's a lake that Ali fished quite a few years ago. When the opportunity came up to have a fish, I just had to have a go. It's called the Firs Lake. It's in Essex out near Clacton. And as you can already see, it is incredibly weedy. I had a good walk round, couldn't find anything at first, but there's always one fish that gives the game away. And just now, a ghostie appeared, or a koi, a white fish with some little black spots on his back. And it's always the way, as soon as you spot one, you tend to spot a few more. I'm not really sure how I'm going to tackle it yet. I've not even put a lead out. But after seeing that ghostie, I then spotted a few darker shapes over in that direction. In a second, I'm going to have a wander around, see how we can best present a rig to them, and hopefully get a bite from a new water. Fingers crossed. Now, whenever you come to a new lake, one of the most important things to do is to try and actually set up on some carp. I know that sounds obvious. There'll be a lot of you watching this going, yeah, of course that's obvious, but there's a lot of people that'll actually set up in a swim that they like the look of. They might see an overhanging tree or a set of lily pads and think, yeah, that's the one. But without carp there, they are just that, a tree in the water or a set of lily pads in the water. I've actually just seen another ghostie. I don't think it's the same one, but I've also just seen a carp come out of this weed. And already, I can see another fish there just under the ripple. Another carp there. Right, this is where it gets exciting. This is where you start to hatch the plan in your head. And already, there's another two fish coming in. Right, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna go and get my kit. I'm gonna get back round here, and I'm literally gonna lower in a few singles, maybe over a handful of bait. I might even leave the rods on the deck. You can't beat a clutch spinning, can you? I'm literally shaking. Let's just find the smallest lead I've got. 2 ounce and a half. Lovely old job. Quite a big koi ghostie coming over the spot now. Fruitless so far. The fish have definitely done the off. So even though I thought I was being super stealth-like, it's still enough to put them off of sticking around. They stayed around for a bit, they went near the spots, but no bites forthcoming. So I'm going to reel in, leave the kit here for a bit, and have another wander, see if there's another opportunity like we've just had. If not, start to think about where I'm going to set up for the night.
How's your hobnob?
There is very little better in life than a hobnob. But when you've got to eat nearly a full packet of hobnobs, realise you start to feel a little bit sick. I don't care. Right, I've had another good look around the lake. And the only area that I'm now seeing fish is sort of where I anticipated. As I've mentioned, I've got the 3 islands here, there's 2 big channels, and it gives me a big view of probably 75% of the lake. There's a lot of water behind the islands that obviously can't see. It is really weedy, so I'm going to get a marker rod out, not with a float, I'll just have a lead around with braid to one of the new marker leads, and just see if I can find any clear zones. But before I can do that, I've got to go and get the kit. There's a dead tree on the island in front of me that it just screams carp. So I'm gonna have a little look around there first of all and just see what the bottom's like. Right there, that's about 3/4 of the way to that tree, was really weedy. Can't be putting a rig there. But I wanna go a little bit further. Let's have another look. Felt the rod down, no weed got in the way, and it's donked down. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is put the line in the clip, but then just have a little gentle pull back now, and that lead is gliding. In fact, do you know what? Half a rod length and then it's locked up again. So there is weed, but I can definitely present a rig there if I get it accurate enough. As it's in the clip, the next job, reel it in. I'm going to set the distance sticks up, work out exactly how many wraps it is so that I know that my fishing rod's going to be over there accurately, and I'm going to go with the spinner rig. If I go with a chod, I run the danger of my rig flying back a little bit too much, and I could actually put the little pop-up in amongst the worst of the weed. Whereas knowing I get a donk, the spinner rig, because it's more like a hinge stiff presentation, it's got that boom section, I know that where the lead's hitting down is exactly where my rig's going to be sitting as well. For me, that seems like the perfect scenario. Out in front of me there is a lot of weed, as I've mentioned when feeling around with the marker lead. Pretty much all the way to the spot is thick. There's Canadian weed, I've got lily pads in front of me, as well as a load of floating weed. So trying to fish a slack line, which it obviously gives you really nice presentation, in this situation is absolutely pointless, because all you're doing is slackening the line off to sit on top of this weed and on top of all the other, and all you're doing is restricting your bite indication and potentially giving the carp a bit too much time to bury its head in the weed and ultimately maybe come off. So by doing this, I'm fishing it very tight, so I've got a much straighter line to the lead. Now, because I'm fishing a helicopter style, I mentioned earlier that I'm going to be fishing the leads to come off. That also helps when fishing in weed. What will happen, hopefully, is once the weight of the lead come off, there's nothing to keep the fish down on the bottom. So they tend to come up in the water because they're trying to pull against a clutch that they can't take any line from. So the only option is to come up in the water. And hopefully, once they're up there, they tend to stay there for the duration of the fight, and fingers crossed, they'll make their way to the back of the net. That's the theory anyway.
Okay.
Left my head torch in the bivvy. Come on.
I cannot see.
I think it's in there.
Wait, oh.
I literally don't know if I've landed it.
Wait, I can't see. I can't.
Right, let me just run you through what's happening. Scott's forgot his light. So I'm going to
Wait, hold the light up so I can see.
I've got a fish in the net for one. Scott's forgot his main light, so we're having to, what's the word? What's the word?
I don't know.
Hang on, we're having to...
The light on, yeah?
Hang on, I'm trying to think what I'm trying to say. So Scott forgot his light. We're having to improvise, that's the word I'm looking for. My bivvy light I'm now holding here so you can at least see me. Scott's blinding me with something else. But who cares? Because we've got a fish in the net. New venue. We picked an area on what we fancied, not because we knew it, we don't know the lake at all. And sometimes your gut feeling pays off. Happy days.
Don't mention that I lost one.
I didn't.
No.
Scott lost one, by the way. I wasn't going to mention it, but he did. Well, there we go. The tactics are working nice and early. It's probably just gone 9:30. First blood, £21. Buttercorn pop up over a little spread of bait and a little hole in the weed. Happy days. Who wants to be a film star? Well, morning. What a lovely way to start the day. Apparently this is a really good time in the lake. I don't really know the score, but the owner of the lake said any time between 6 in the morning up until about midday is when a lot of the bites happen. So last night's bites could be a bit of a bonus anyway. So that's the plan really. I'm gonna sit here. I'm certainly gonna see out bite time and see if anything happens. And if it doesn't, we don't just like sitting here and blanking. So we're gonna get on our toes, perhaps try and find some more and see if we can create another opportunity. A lot of my fishing these days sees me using the heli safe, and it's for a number of reasons. Whether I'm fishing at long range, short range, in weed, gravel pits, whatever it may be, I'm almost guaranteed by fishing a helicopter style presentation that I'm presenting a bait in the best possible way. Now, whether that's on gravel, whether that's in weed, I can move the beads on my heli system to allow the rig to run higher, run further, be it a chod, be it a conventional bottom bait like a combi rig or something, or more recently the spinner rig, it almost guarantees me presentation. Assembling the heli-safe couldn't be easier. It's made up of 5 small pieces, but don't let that put you off. There's instructions on the packaging as well, but let me give you a little run through first. First of all, you put the little cap down your line, followed by the spring. Item number 3 is one of the internal components, and once that's on, you tie on the half swivel that comes with it. You simply pull the half swivel inside the internal part, and then you've got an outer collar that pushes over, everything pushes over the top and twists shut. Now, if you've set it up like that, that means your lead's gonna come off every time you get a bite. Alternatively, if you unscrew the top, there's a small plastic collar that can slide in. You haven't got to cut everything off your main line. It's got a slit in the sides. You simply pop that in, screw it back up, and you'll notice that when you pull your line, the bottom arm that would normally release the lead is locked into position. So if you're just fishing for bites on a conventional runs water or day ticket lake or clay pit, whatever it may be, you're gonna save your lead every time. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Ha ha, fooled you all, I'm a submarine. Well, the trip has pretty much come to an end, and whilst I'm pleased to have caught one, I don't know, I feel the lake's won this challenge and I want to come back again. But before I do that, before I go home, explained to you yesterday about the spot I found just over 11 wraps out into the lake. Was pretty sure it was, clean enough certainly to present a rig on, showed by the new lead dragging in little bits of weed, but ultimately getting a nice firm donk. Well, with the aid of a GoPro, I'm actually going to try and check the spot because it didn't feel that deep, and it will just give me a really clear idea and show you guys exactly what you're looking for when you're, marking up and trying to find some spots. So before I drift too far away from where it was, let's see if we can have a little look. This is definitely the area I was fishing to. It's kind of where the island is dropping away before it gets into the real deeper water. There's the weed that I was talking about. I'm over the other side of that, or this side of it as we are now. But this feels really solid, almost feels gravel. I can feel the odd little dink on the net handle. This is a nice area, just deep enough for perhaps to stop the birds being too interested. More importantly, deep enough for the carp to feed in. It's a really interesting area. I brought my marker rod and lead out. I'm gonna, from this bank, we're actually hanging onto the island. It's not too far out and it still feels clean to prod it, but then even a bit of weed sat on the bottom would still feel, if it's only a thin layer on top of the gravel, that would still feel like a solid donk as well. A couple of run throughs with that, see what I pick up, and that will tell me exactly how clean it is. Donk. There we go, a little strand first plop in. Another tiny bit of weed, but to be fair, you've seen the rigs I'm fishing with that little pop-up. That is still going to be presented as I'd imagine, nice and clean. I will have another couple of casts. Better to be safe than sorry, while I've got this unique opportunity. Much deeper there. Already look, my rod is completely locked up. I'm actually turning the boat with it. Proof of the pudding is in the eating. So I now know that surrounding the spot is that type of stuff, and if I was just to cast my lead into that, I'd pretty much have a tangled, unpresented mess. So by doing what we've done, being sure with that float, with the lead, feeling what the bottom's like, dragging it back through, making sure it's clean, I know that I've got an area there that I can present a bait on. Did have a fish off of it as well. So do you know what I'm going to do? I want to get a little bit of bait on that spot. I'm going to try and come back next week, see if we can catch 1 or 2 more. See you then.